Let's become familiar with the new Eyegaze Edge 2020 Encore camera from Eyegaze Incorporated. This is James Brinton, speech-language pathologist. Thanks for joining us for the tutorial. We started off in 1987 as LC Technologies, and we renamed the company to Eyegaze Inc. this year. We've had many generations of our camera. Today we're going to be focusing on the two cameras on the right, our prime camera, which you may be familiar with, as well as our new Encore camera. There are 4 key improvements our engineers have made with the new Encore camera. It has higher accuracy in our low fatigue design. There's greater freedom of movement for the user. It has a stronger and sleeker hardware design, and it's easier to set up and use for both the caregiver and the end user. Before we jump into the details of the Encore camera, let's talk a little bit about calibration. Eyegaze systems require calibration to determine where the user is looking on the screen. Calibration is the process of mapping the radius of curvature of that curved eyeball up against a flat computer screen. Eyegaze systems use what's called the Pupil-Center corneal reflection method of eye tracking. Let's take a look at the Pupil-Center corneal reflection principle with a few images. Let's break it down. In this image, let's find the center of the pupil. The pupil here is lit up bright and round like a full moon. And you can see in the center of the pupil, our image processing software has placed a tracking net right in the center of the pupil. The other point of light we're looking at is the corneal reflection, or glint spot of light on the cornea. Here we can see the glint spot at the 5 o'clock mark on this pupil perimeter. The camera has to see and monitor these 2 points of light for accurate eye tracking. Let's look at some more images of the Pupil-Center corneal reflection method. Here we have an eye looking up and to the left. We see the dot at the pupil center and the point of light, the glint spot, the corneal reflection at 5 o'clock. However, when that person looks up and to the right, we see the pupil center dot, and now the corneal reflection has changed to 7 o'clock. And then here on the lower image, the person is gazing directly at the camera with both points of light almost on top of each other. So as this eyeball moves around, the eye tracker monitors these 2 points of light in relationship to each other. This is an example screen of a simple calibration with some mathematical accuracy data. The Eyegaze Edge will allow you to change the number of points and change the target icon used for calibration. For the Encore camera, we recommend that users start with a 9-point calibration with a small yellow ball, as pictured here. And then if difficulties arise, you can change the setting to make the target bigger, the target move differently, or to make the points easier to hit by going to a simple calibration. So when you're setting up the new Eyegaze Edge with the Encore camera, here are the steps. First, you need to position the person comfortably, whether they're in a chair, a wheelchair, a recliner, or a bed. Get them comfortably positioned. Then position the screen between 18 to 27 inches away from their face, and make sure that the top of the screen is around their eyebrow height, as you see pictured here. This is a good starting point, and then you can make adjustments from this starting point. If the person is reclined or laying down, make the screen parallel to their face. So pictured here, we have somebody sitting at a reclined angle, and our representative has tilted the screen to be parallel with the recline and the plane of that person's face. Then you swing the camera up or down to find the person's eyes using the on-screen eye image, as you see here. If you need to move the device, remember that the height is adjusted by moving the mounting arm up and down. If you need to move it left or right, this is adjusted by grabbing the screen and moving it left or right. And then last, you'll swing the camera up or down to find the person's eyes using that on-screen eye image. These are the 3 axes of movement you can manipulate to change the position and find the right spot. So let's review these steps. First, you position the person comfortably. Then you position the device screen. Then you position the camera. And last, you focus the camera to ensure a clear image you use this on-screen eye image pictured here to guide you. On the bottom of the Encore camera, you will notice that you have a focus knob along a track that you can gently rotate left or right. You want to obtain a clear eye image as is pictured here. If the whole eye image is green, it means you need to go forward or bring the system forward to the person. Or if it's red, it means retreat. Pull it back further away from that person a little bit until you see a grayscale image like it's seen here. A focused eye image should be crisp and clear like this image. If not, make adjustments by rotating the camera lens to get a clear image. You'll notice here in the right box, the eyes are in the center of that right box. In the center and the left box, you see clear eyes without any spots. The eye images should be focused and not blurry. The glint spots of light are visible right on their cornea, as we discussed. There are a few features that are major improvements with the Encore camera. The biggest one is we have a single LED light shining through a wide-angle camera lens that now captures the movement of both eyes. This doubles the freedom of movement that the person can have, and it alternatively tracks one eye, or both eyes, or the other eye. So it allows this person using it much more freedom to move if they want it. As I mentioned, there's higher accuracy. So we're collecting more data points using our same low fatigue one LED light, but having higher accuracy with more data collection. And overall, there's an improved aesthetic design to our camera, and it's more durable, prone to breaking less. This is also a huge improvement. It's easier for caregivers and family members to set up and easier for the person to use with fewer recalibrations. If the person is using the Eyegaze Edge and they decide to move out of the way or move to a different room without their system, when they return to their system, they approximate the place where they were positioned before. However, if the image is blurry, instead of having to refocus the camera and go through a recalibration, the caregiver can simply refocus the camera until the eye image is clear, and that person can use the camera again without having to recalibrate. Let's talk a little bit about troubleshooting during calibration if it's needed. If you're setting someone up in front of the Eyegaze Edge and having a difficult time starting the calibration process, you may want to make a slight position adjustment up, down, forward, or back to the system and try it again. If they're wearing glasses, make sure the glasses are clean. And look at the on-screen eye image. Like I said, it should be clear and crisp. If it's not, that may be an indication that the person has dry eyes. Often, a solution to this is use of over-the-counter or prescription eye drops when appropriate for that individual. If the person gets stuck on a calibration point, you can simply hit Function F2 on the keyboard, and it will skip that calibration point. If you need to bring up the calibration shortcut menu, you can hit Control-C on the keyboard. You can change the number of points or the size of the targets. We always recommend you start with 9 calibration points. However, if you move down to 5 points, that's our simple calibration, and it's easier for some people to calibrate with only 5 points. You can change these points as needed through that settings menu. With the Encore camera, we're monitoring 2 eyes, but you may want to go down to 1 eye, either the left or the right eye, and you can do that through the settings program. Our Encore camera continues the medical accommodations for medically complex eyes. It has an on-screen dry eye indicator. There's accommodation in our software for lens replacement or cataract removal surgery. For those individuals who have mydriasis, droopy eyelids, eyelid ptosis, people who have nystagmus or strabismus, and the camera will freely alternate between both eyes or 1 eye, depending on the position of that person's head. This is our new Eyegaze Edge settings as of April 2020. This can be pulled up while you're in our Eyegaze program by hitting Control-S. Thank you for joining us for the short tutorial. Please call us at 1-800-Eyegaze to be connected to your local representative. Feel free to call us with questions or email us. Thank you for joining.